But in this book,
I hated it.
hello, welcome back to my channel. My name's Chell and this is Chella Reads a Bit. Today I'm going to be doing the Contradictions Book Tag. I believe the original was done by Only If for a Page. I'll leave all the original links down below and if you wanted to do this yourself. I know that I just saw that Elliot Brooks from Elliot Brooks has recently done it and some other people that I follow. So I've been wanting to do it anyway. So here I am giving it a go as well. I wouldn't wanted to do this tag anyways, and then once Elliot did, I was like, okay, I really want to try my hand at it as well. So I figured, what better time than now when it seems like other people are also taking part. So here I am putting my 2 cents in. Because everyone wants to hear what I have to say. But if you do enjoy this video, please feel free to like and subscribe. I would love to have you here, and let's just get into the tag. So the first one is, I love this genre, but I didn't like this book. So for this, I have 2 categories. I was kind of unsure on one of them, but I do love middle grade. I feel it's like comforting to read sometimes. I have found series that I really enjoy, authors I really enjoy, books that I really enjoy. But back when I was first getting into middle grade and did enjoy it at the time, there was one series that I kind of did not enjoy, and I had the box set of, and it was School for Good and Evil by Soman Chainani. I do apologize if I butchered that in any way. I do apologize. I did read all 3 of the original trilogy and did not enjoy it. I did not enjoy some of the characters. I didn't enjoy what was happening. I was starting to get really frustrated on certain aspects of the book, and like how characters would act and things that it just, and yeah, I know it's middle grade and I'm obviously not in that age range, and I get that, but it just wasn't something that I jived with, and that's fine. I'm not in that audience, but that is one that I would say. And then obviously I love fantasy, but it was really hard to choose one because there have been many books from this genre that I have not liked. So there's been so many. I love fantasy, but I know there's a lot of books within fantasy that I don't like and I don't jive with, and I just I cannot stand. I know A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas is one of them. A really big one that I did not like. Bone Crier's Moon I did not enjoy. There's other ones I just can't think of. Fantasy is so broad, and I've read quite a bit, and I just can't think on the top of my head which ones I didn't like, because there have been so many. But those are the only ones I could think of. But A Court of Silver Flames I hated, so did not like that book, but I love fantasy. Next one is, I rarely read this genre, but I loved this book. So I rarely pick up contemporary, and there were a few books that I really actually found myself enjoying when I read them. They're kind of contemporary romance, and that was Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. I loved that book. I really want to read the other 2 within the Brown Sisters trilogy. That book was so cute. So, like, I really found myself enjoying my time, and I'm not a big contemporary person nor a big romance person, so that was very surprising. Another one that I really enjoyed within that genre was The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. When I read that, I gave it 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I have not seen the movie. I know the movie did come out. I don't know if I will ever watch the movie. Maybe one day. It's not really top of my priority list. I did love the book. I haven't reread it since I first read it, which was a bit ago. So I don't know if I would still give it 5 stars now, but I did enjoy it at the time. I was really surprised that I was just having a good time. As like the whole time I was reading it, I was really invested in it. So I was really surprised, because I do not pick up contemporary romance very often, especially contemporary. That's just not a genre that I really enjoy all that often. So those 2 were very surprising. Another genre I don't really pick up very often, I want to try to get more into, is nonfiction. And a few years ago, when Dunkirk, the movie, first came out, I fell in love with that movie. I really enjoyed watching it. I was very interested in the subject. World War II history is something that I really am interested in. So when I saw the movie, it was like,
Wow.
I love that movie. I have the DVD. I just really enjoyed it. So I ended up reading this book called Dunkirk Retreat to Victory and really enjoyed it. I actually ended up enjoying that more than the other book I was reading at the time, which was, I think, the second book to All the Boys I've Loved Before trilogy. I think it's like P.S. I Still Love You. And I found myself wanting to read Dunkirk Retreat to Victory more than that one. Yes, I know that probably is odd, but I am very odd. So I would say Dunkirk Retreat to Victory was very surprising because I rarely pick up nonfiction, but I want to get more into it. But I feel like that was very surprising, and I still enjoy reading about World War II, learning about World War II. I don't know. I know it's like a lot of people are interested in it, but I also enjoy that subject. Dunkirk Retreat to Victory would be one of them. The next one is I love this trope, but I didn't like this book. So I'm not really good on tropes. Like, I don't really think about it at the time. But I guess a trope that I could think of that I do enjoy is enemies to lovers. A book that I did recently read that had this kind of trope in it was Bonecryer's Moon by Catherine Purdy. I did not like it. I really did not like that book. I ended up skimming a lot of it because it just was not good. I did not enjoy that book. And I love that trope. I love the trope of two people who do not like each other, who they cannot see the good in each other in the beginning, and then as they get to know each other and realize that maybe they aren't who they thought they were, or their preconceived notions are wrong, they start to get closer. I love that, like, coming together, enemies to lovers thing. But in this book,
I hated it.
I hated the two main characters. I did not. Like, there were technically three perspectives. One of them I did enjoy, but the perspective of the main female who has the love interest, I did not like them. I did not like them together. I did not like them as characters in their own. And I didn't like their romance. I don't like it. I think that one does not do enemies to lovers very well. So Bonecryer's Moon for that one. The next one is I hate this trope, but I love this book. So for this one, I know I've talked about before. I hate the trope of the chosen one and they're perfect immediately at everything that they try. I do hate that trope, but I do love Keeper of the Lost Cities series. And Sophie is very good at certain things, very quick, and a bit overpowered. But that's like the point of her character, that she was. I can't give you spoilers, so I'm not even going to go into it. But I don't like the trope, but I really enjoy reading that series for some reason. For some reason, I can just like detach myself from that concept because I enjoy reading it. And that is hypocritical of me, but it is what it is, I guess. I enjoy it. Do I like the chosen one, perfect everything thing? No. Can I look past it in this book? Yes. Does that make me a big hypocrite? For sure. Do I care? No. So Keeper of the Lost Cities, I think that's one that I jive better with that trope in that one than anything else. Next one is I love this author, but I didn't like this book. I kind of had trouble with this because I find I don't read a lot from the same author. Maybe I just don't remember, but I had to think really hard about it. Like, I'll read something from an author and then might not ever touch anything that they've written other than like outside of that. But so the first one is technically within a series that I enjoy, but I didn't like this specific book, but I do love the author. So the first one is Marissa Meyer. The book that I'm referring to is the second book within the Lunar Chronicles, Scarlet. I did not like Scarlet. It just was not my favorite book in that series. I don't like Scarlet as a character. It just wasn't for me. It's not the best in that series. I think that the other ones totally are way better, and Scarlet didn't need to happen. But I do love the series, and I understand that it's within that series, but I just couldn't think of anything that was like outside of something I've already read from that author, because I don't, for some reason, can't recall reading more than one series or one book from a certain author. For some odd reason, I don't know why, but that is one of them that I could think of. And then I don't necessarily, the next one, I don't necessarily love the author. I wouldn't really say I love her. She's okay. And that's Sarah J. Maas. And I hated A Court of Silver Flames. I tried reading the first Throne of Glass book long ago and only got 9 pages in. I do plan on trying them again, and trying to read them. But I did read A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, and A Court of Wings and Ruin, and hated A Court of Silver Flames. I don't hate her, but I don't love her, so maybe that, I still think it counts, but A Court of Silver Flames was hot garbage. But we'll move on. The next one is, I previously disliked a book by this author, but I loved this book. The one that I could think of was Christina Lauren. I did not like Roomies. I did not like that book. I did not enjoy the characters. I did not like the subject matter. I did not like what happens in it. Did not believe the romance. Was not for me. Did not like it. And the one that I did like, I wouldn't say I loved it. I wouldn't use the love word. I liked it well enough. And that's The Unhoneymooners. I had a good time reading that. There were predictable things within the book. I thought that the characters were just being stupid sometimes, and they were just ignoring things that were so glaringly obvious, but I did enjoy my time, and I did enjoy the book for the most part. I can't say that I love it. I don't agree with the wording. I liked the book. I did not like Roomies. Not for me. So that's one I would say. The next one is, I love this cover, but I didn't like this book. And I have a few, because I love a lot of covers, and then I really don't like the book. So one of them is also a recent read, and that was Wicked Fox by Kat Cho. I love the cover of that book. I think it's so beautiful. It just is very appealing. Read it, liked the first half. Definitely did not like the last half. Not for me. I enjoy the Korean setting, the use of Korean in it, and the atmosphere and the food and all that other stuff. I loved that. Couldn't stand the characters. It was predictable. So I loved the cover, but did end up not enjoying the book. And then another is Bone Crier's Moon again by Catherine Purdy. I love the Fairy Loot edition cover. It is beautiful. I love the look and the sprayed edges, but I hated that book. I can't even say I would recommend, but if you want to read it. I don't care. But that had a beautiful cover. Did not like what was inside of it. I do actually enjoy the look of the Shadow and Bone trilogy, like the newer covers, the newer paperback covers that were released. I do enjoy those covers. They're so pretty. I didn't like Shadow and Bone. I definitely hated Siege and Storm. I haven't read Ruin and Rising, so I don't know quite yet, but I love those covers. I think they're aesthetically pleasing to me, so that is another one that I would say I love. Those two, I love the covers. Did not enjoy what was inside of it. No. And the last one is, I didn't like this cover, but I loved this book. The ones that I could come up with are the Nevermore series, but the US covers. I don't find them appealing in any capacity, but the UK editions are great, so I'm only talking about the US editions. I do not think that those look good. I love the books. Would totally recommend them. They're a middle grade series. I totally would recommend, but I think that the US covers are kind of hideous. I do not like them, and I really want the UK editions. The next one also is the Mistborn series. They're hideous covers, but I loved the first book. The Final Empire was amazing, but I do not like the US covers. So the UK editions are beautiful. The white with the blue, beautiful. The US editions that I have are not the best to look at. but the UK editions would totally recommend, and I do recommend reading The Final Empire. That's the only one that I've gotten to yet. I do plan on reading the next two, just haven't gone there yet. I have to let my heart repair itself from that first book. The US covers for that as well, I do not like. Then I was very surprised by this one. One of the Fairy Loot books that I got was Master of One by Jada Jones. And I think that the cover is kind of hideous, even with the sprayed edges and everything, like the Fairy Loot edition. I still think is kind of hideous, and I don't like the color red. I also just don't like the cover in general, but I read it because I wanted to read it because I figured that I wouldn't like it. So don't ask me for my thought process. There's nothing to understand. But so I read it, and I was actually really surprised. I really enjoyed it. I don't like the cover, but I do definitely enjoy what I read, surprisingly. And then the last one is just tag someone. I don't really have anyone to tag, so if you want to do the tag, go ahead and do it. That's pretty much it for this tag. I really enjoyed it. It's nice to see both sides of things. Like, looking at things that, well, usually I don't like this, but I actually really enjoyed this, and seeing how sometimes things might not be what it seems. I contradict myself a lot in life, so this is not surprising. I could give you a lot of contradictions that I do, but we would be here forever, so I think we'll leave it at that. I do appreciate only for a page for creating this tag. I will leave all the information down below. If you did enjoy this video, please feel free to like and subscribe. I would love to have you here, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.